Hi, hope you're well. Thanks for joining the second of these bank holiday bonus sessions while we are not meeting up in person. Today, if you've done the previous one, today is going to be a little bit more movement based, a little bit of focus on shoulders and upper body when we do some variations on planks. Don't worry about that word, it is movement planks. We're not just holding planks as you might have seen before. So kind of rotational movement. We're going to start with a little bit of stretching, so it's going to be less about abs and that anterior chain of strength and more about movement, shoulder mobility, things like that. So again, about half an hour I would expect. We'll get on the mat, we'll get started. First of all, you just want to be seated. You're going to cross our legs as best you can. You can do this with your legs out if crossing your legs is difficult, but it is much easier if you can cross your legs. You're going to just sit up nice and tall, hands on knees, relax the elbows, that's going to relax the shoulders. Good posture, tip that pelvis forwards, taking a few breaths, getting that breathing in as usual, laterally through the ribs. And we're going to take one hand out to the side, we're going to reach up and reach over. And reach up and out through the fingertips, keeping both sit bones on the mat, so we're not leaning over, we're just side bending as best you can. I'm going to bring that hand back round and to the knee, and the other side, big breath in, exhale as you get over the top, soften into the stretch, reaching up and over, keeping your chest square, don't rotate into this or collapse forwards, stay up and tall, side bending, opening up through this side, right through the tricep, shoulder, right through the side into the hip, bringing that arm round, sweeping the other arm up and over, exhale into the stretch. If you can on this one, take your hand down to the mat, just next to your knee, not too far back, forwards. And if you can get your elbow to the ground without lifting your sit bones from the mat, you're going to get into that deeper stretch. You'll start to feel this in the lats as well, in the lower back. Still keeping that chest square. We don't want to collapse like this. Nice and tall. Sweep the hand up and over as a counterbalance and start to push through this hand as you lift up. Once more to the other side, arm out. Side bend. Again, you can stay in this position if this is deep enough for you, but if you can, hand just next to the knee and down to the elbow, keeping both sit bones on the mat, nice and controlled. Still reaching out through the fingertips. Don't just end up like this. Reach out, open up through the back. Keep that head up. Don't end up down here. Nice and tall. Holding for a couple of breaths. Use this arm as a counterbalance to help bring the body back up. Coming back to center, just give yourself a little wriggle out. Going to bring the legs out straight in front. Going to cross one leg, doesn't matter which because we're going to do both sides. Going to cross one leg so that the foot is just on the outside of the opposite knee. You're going to take the opposite arm to the bent leg and you're going to hug the knee into the elbow and draw that knee in towards your chest, sitting up nice and tall. I'm going to turn slightly so that you can see this a little bit better. You can stay where you are, obviously. Hugging that knee into the chest, bringing yourself up nice and tall, so you're not hunched over your chest, nice and tall. Opposite arm comes round behind you, fingertips drawing you up, pull that knee into the chest, turn the chest round, opening up through that back shoulder. Nice big deep breath in and exhale. Try and get a little bit deeper into that rotation. So the rotation's coming all from your chest. Try and open this chest up to your side wall whilst drawing that knee in, feeling a stretch through the glutes and the hip, feeling a rotation through the spine. Looking back over the back shoulder for another breath. Nice big deep breath in and full breath out. Gently start to release that hand back round, release the knee, take the leg out straight and switch sides. So foot on the outside of the knee, so your ankle is just in above the knee. Opposite arm, hugging that knee into the chest, using these fingertips just to bring yourself up top. Then you're going to take that arm out, round behind you and hug the knee into the chest. Big breath in to sit up tall, and exhale. Draw that back shoulder backwards, look backwards over it, and sit up as tall as you can whilst rotating the chest to the side wall. So you're attempting to get your chest in line with the outstretched leg. So you're at that 90-degree angle. Nice big breath in, sit up tall, exhale, try and deepen that stretch. Feeling the stretch through your glutes as you draw that knee in towards the chest. One more nice big breath in, exhale, and gently start to release the back hand to come round and dropping that leg back out in front. We're going to stay seated and we're going to bring one leg, again, doesn't matter which because we're going to do both sides. We're going to bring one leg round to the side so that it's 90 degrees out from the side and 90 degrees at the knee. You're going to bring the other leg and create 90 degrees here. So the calf of the leg is square on to your chest. So you should be in 90 degrees through the hips, 90 degrees through the knees. Going to place this hand on the outside of the toes, this hand on the outside of the knee. You're going to lift the chest, and with a flat back, by tilting the pelvis forwards, you're going to lower the chest towards the floor about a foot in front of you. So it's not going to reach there, but that's just where you're reaching it to. And the reason for that is you want to do this with a flat back from the hips rather than a rounded back by just hunching your head down towards the floor. So lift up, out and forwards through the hip, and use the hands to control the weight. Nice big breath in. As you exhale, try and get a little bit deeper. Just have a little wriggle through the shoulders as well, and just start to feel how certain angles might make you feel it in the glutes a little bit more, and just find that point of stretch for you. Big breath in. As you exhale, try and deepen that a little bit more, always keeping the back flat. We don't want to end up hunched round down here. This isn't about getting your head to your knee. This is reaching out long and forwards through the back. Nice big breath in. As you exhale, just press through the hands, lift yourself back up. And we're just going to switch legs. So bring the back leg round, bring the front leg out to the back. Get yourself into that 90-degree position through the hips and through the knees. Hand on the outside of the knee, hand on the outside of the toes. Nice big breath in with your chest square to the front. As you exhale, just take that chest out and forwards about a foot or two towards the ground in front of you. Try not to lift the head too much, but don't let it slouch either, because that will just encourage you to hunch. So just keeping that chin up, but not too high. And big breath in. Nice and tall and long, and exhale. Try and deepen that a little bit more, and just that little wriggle again is going to give you that sense of stretch through the glutes, and just find your point of bind where you need to sit very gently on that stretch. Nice big breath in, full breath out to deepen into the stretch a little bit more. If you don't move when you deepen into the stretch, just experience that sense of space and the stretch opening up a little bit. One more nice breath in. And as you exhale, just gently pushing through the hands, keeping that flat back all the way up. And that's a good exercise to spend a little bit more time on in your own time. You could spend a minute or two, up to 5 minutes, just experimenting with that stretch and really getting into your hips. So moving on, we're going to come into a kneeling position. Again, I'm going to be moving round angles so that you can see what's going on. You can just stay in one position. So coming up to high kneeling and bringing one foot out in front, just enough so that this leg is trailing slightly, so the knee is behind the hip. You don't want to be too square here because we're wanting to get into the hip flexor. So take that foot forwards enough that you can drop forwards and this leg trails behind, opens up the hip flexor. Nice and tall through the back. Again, we don't want to be hunched down here because that closes up the hip flexor and takes it off stretch. So lifting up, dropping that pelvis forwards, squeezing this glute to extend the hip, push it forwards, open up the hip flexor. Just holding that as you drop a little bit deeper if you can. If there's a little bit of bounce, that can help, but let's not try to kind of bounce into it because that makes the hip and the muscle vulnerable. Just very gentle rocking motion can just help to open up the hip, but try not to bounce your weight into it. Dropping the hand on the same side as the stretched leg, we're just going to lift that arm straight up in the air and just feel how that draws things through the rest of the body. Again, this is where I'm going to turn so you can see what's going on. You can't see my arm, but you get the idea. We're going to drop into that stretch, and as you exhale, we're going to just lean away, side bending like we did at the beginning when we were seated. Just side bending, not rotating and dropping, staying tall, side bending away. That's going to open up the hip flexor and through the side. Using your breath all the time, keeping this knee tracking straight over the toes. Don't let it drop out. We don't want to twist the knee. Keeping it tracking, leaning away as you breathe. Just in and out if you want to, or just hold the stretch. Keeping that head up. Don't want to end up down here. Nice and tall. Big breath in as you come back to center. Release the arm. Gently rocking back onto the knee and tucking that knee and switching sides. So again, just bringing this foot forwards enough so that you can rock forwards, open up this hip. We'll move a little bit quicker on this side because you don't need all the explanation this time. Just getting settled, knee straight over foot, back straight, squeezing this glute to push into that hip, opening up here and extending at the hip, releasing the arm. Big breath in, reaching up and out, feeling how that opens up through the side, opens up through the abdomen, stretching the obliques, stretching the lats to a certain extent. Big breath in, leaning away, opening up through the shoulder. As we said at the beginning with the side bend, reach out through the fingertips. Don't just have your arm here coming across, reach up and out. Make yourself as long and tall as you possibly can. Again, use your breath. Exhale is always going to help you deepen into the stretch. Inhale is going to help you get up tall. Exhale, deepen into the stretch. Rocking gently forwards. Deepening all the time. One more nice big breath in. And bringing that arm down and round to the knee. Rock back onto the back knee to release that stretch. Tucking the foot in. And resting for a second. We're going to come flat out onto the mat. Hands just underneath your shoulders, side beside your pecs, thumbs just grazing your pecs, toes tucked. We're going to squeeze the glutes, squeeze the core by drawing the belly button in, and we're going to push up into high plank. If that's too much, then by all means just come up to knees first and then lift the knees. Wrists directly beneath your shoulders. Use the glutes and the core, drawing the belly button in to give yourself a good plank. If your plank isn't perfect, I'd rather it was more like this than like this. This is putting stress on your back at this point. So nice, straight plank, and we're going to take a big breath in as we rotate into the hand, lift up and out, look up at the hand, push the floor away with the bottom hand, and square the chest to the side wall, reach up to the ceiling with the fingertips and bring this hand down. Make sure you plant it directly beneath the shoulder and rotating the other way. Reaching up and out. Big breath in, coming down. And inhale to expand and reach up through the chest. Let's pick this up a little bit now. Exhale down. Big breath in. Exhale down. Let's do 3 more on each side. That's 3. Slight hold at the top for balance and stability. So this is 2 more on each side. And down, making sure each time you plant your shoulder right, you plant your wrist right underneath your shoulder. Coming back down. Last one on each side. Nice and open, nice and tall, strong through the side. Lift the hips. Coming down. And lifting up and away. And coming down. If you need to give your wrists a bit of a rest, then by all means pause the video, drop to the knees, give your hands a little circle out. but we're going to keep moving. By all means, pause in the video. We're going to do a very similar movement. We're going to open up, and this time with the lower leg, we're going to bring it through and out to balance. This is working the adductors and bringing it back, rotating down. Other side, lift up and out, bring that leg out and forwards. Really stretch it forwards, feel it a little bit in the hamstring. Bring the leg back, coming back down. We're going to do 2 more on each side. Opening up, lifting the hips, nice and strong and straight through the body. Bringing that foot back and down. Lifting up, reaching out, holding to stabilize before coming back down. Last one on each side. Rotate out and out. So you'll be starting to feel your shoulders now, I would imagine. Bringing that foot back, lowering back down. Last one. Out, back, and down. And again, if you need a rest, then by all means take one. We're staying in this plank position, coming down to the elbows. Again, if that's too much at this point, have a quick rest and come up to the plank by lying down. Tuck the elbows directly beneath shoulders, tuck the toes, lift up into plank. From here, we're going to soften the knees as we lift the hips and drop the head between the shoulders for a nice shoulder stretch. Softening the knees as much as you need to get right into those shoulders. Straight legs, if you've got tight hamstrings, is going to push you forwards and you're not going to get into the shoulders. So let's do that. And forwards, holding that plank. Big breath in, exhale, push back, soften the knees, drop right into those shoulders. Big breath in, come back to plank. And pushing back, soften the knees, drop in between the shoulders. Let's do 3 more. Rocking forwards, good solid plank. Shoulders over elbows. Pushing back, exhale as you push back. Take a breath or 2 whilst you're in the stretch. And coming back. And last one. Big breath in, pushing back. Drop in between the shoulders. Big breath in as you come back to center. Lower to the knees, untuck the elbows and drop. For a very quick rest. Forehead on top of your hands to give your nose some space. Just have a little wriggle around. If your shoulders are particularly tired, then by all means, come to kneeling, circle out the shoulders, give yourself that quick rest. We're now coming to some side exercises. This is marches. We've done this in class. It's quite a tough exercise for some, particularly if those adductors are slightly weak, but that's why it's important to do. So we're coming back to a side plank position on the elbow. Again, particularly with the side lying planks, make sure your feet are on a mat. If you're on polished floor, you don't want to be sliding out. Shoulder popped into socket, elbow beneath it, strong through the side. So we're not sat slouched. Pop that shoulder into the socket, lift up and away through the side. We're going to lift up into side plank, but you don't want your feet stacked like this time. You want 1 foot on the floor in front and 1 foot on the floor behind. Arm up if you want, or on your side, totally up to you. And we're going to bring the bottom knee up to the chest and back to where it was. Top knee to the chest, back where it was. And we're just going to keep repeating that, breathing all the time. This talking and exercising thing is a lot harder than it maybe looks. Not sure. Certainly harder than you expect it to be. Keep going. Going to do 2 more on each leg. And last one. And up. And gently lower to the ground. Give that shoulder and elbow a little circle out and a rest. By all means, you can just spin round. I'm going to go the other way, so I'm still facing the camera. Nice and long, hips stacked, so you're not rolled back, not rolled forwards. feet stacked to begin with your arm on your side. Again, shoulder in, elbow beneath shoulder, big breath in. Exhale, push to lift into that plank. And then drop the top foot in front. Arm on the side or up in the air, completely up to you. And lift, bottom knee first, and back. Top knee, and back. And lift, and down. Breathing all the time. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower, for example. Keep that head nice and strong. Don't let it droop and drop or roll forwards. Nice and strong. That slight pause at the top so that you're not just doing this and rushing through it. Let's do 2 more on each side. 2 and 1. And gently lowering to the mat, giving that shoulder a circle out and a little bit of a rest. We're going to give the shoulders and the upper body a little bit of a rest now. Going to come down to lying on your back. We're almost there. Just one more exercise and a stretch left to do. So lying on your back, arms down by your sides. Just take a second to get that breathing back. Let your shoulders become heavy on the mat. Feel your shoulder blades digging into the mat behind you. As you just become heavy, let the arms open up, palms up. Remember that external rotation. Even though it's very slight, it's still opening up the chest, relaxing the pecs. Nice deep breaths for a few seconds. And we're going to bring one leg up to tabletop position and the second leg up to tabletop position. And bring the arms back in by your sides now for a little bit more stability. Going to bring the legs together and holding there for a second, drawing in through the core, feeling that lower back engaging. You want that lower back to stay quite still through this. Nice big breath in. As you exhale, we're going to do reverse crunches. You're bringing the knees up towards the chest and back down to tabletop. So this is all about controlled squeezing, lifting the knees towards the chest, not kicking them towards the chest. There should be none of this. This is exhale, press that belly button down towards the mat and squeeze the knees in towards the chest. Imagine you've got a ball or a sponge tucked into the hips and you're just trying to squeeze on that sponge or ball. Inhale to release, press the belly button down, keep the core engaged. Imagine you scooping your abs down and up rather than blowing them out. Exhale and push. Your arms are for stability, not to drive the exercise. So if you want to, we're going to bring the arms up so that you don't rely on them. You should still be able to squeeze those knees up in the same way. Keep the knees together, don't let them flare out because that's sacrificing the hip flexors. Bring them up, squeeze the knees together and release. 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Gently taking your arms to the mat, one foot comes down and the second foot comes down. We're going to walk your feet to the edges of the mat. Take your arms out to a T position. And with a big breath in, you're going to keep the edges of the mat under both feet and drop the hips to the side. Letting your pelvis rotate slightly with it, but keeping your back flat on the mat. The lower back will lift very slightly, but as you come up the back towards the shoulders, you want that as flat as you can on the mat. Still, feet mat width apart, don't let them slide together. Nice big breath in as you come to center, exhale down to the other side. Just notice if one side feels tighter than another, if the hips don't quite unlock on one side, the same as they do on the other. We're not going to judge that today, but just notice it. It can be useful learning about the body. Couple of deep breaths in that position, back to center, and we're going to take the legs out straight on the mat, out flat, arms stay out in this T position. You're going to bring one leg up to tabletop position, Opposite arm comes to the outer of the knee, and with an exhale, you're going to tuck that pelvis round, drop the knee across to the side. Keep the knee nice and high, don't let it end up down here. We want to get that stretch through the glutes as well, so keeping that knee up. So you're 90 degrees at the hip, 90 degrees at the knee, and then look away from the knee. Try and switch off as many muscles as you can. You might notice through the hips that you're guarding or protecting something. If you are, just let that go, let gravity to a certain extent do the work. And don't pull too hard with this hand and this arm. Just let it be a guide and a bit of a drag and a bit of a weight rather than a pull. Nice big breaths. Trying to keep your shoulders flat on the mat so you're getting that full rotation through the spine. One more nice deep breath and exhale. And if you need to, use your hand to push that knee up first. Assist with the weight back to flat on the mat. Take the leg out to flat, bring the other leg up, and the same thing on the other side. Outside of the knee, big breath in as you exhale, drag that knee across, tuck the pelvis up and round, and look away from that outstretched knee, keeping that knee nice and up towards the chest so you're not dropping it down around here. It's nice and high, feeling it through. Lower back, SI joint into the glutes. Full breaths. And again, try and just notice if you've got any muscles switched on in this hip area, lower back, try and switch them off and just let gravity do the work. Couple of long deep breaths in this position, keeping your shoulders flat to the mat. And again, if you need to, just use your hands to push that knee up, assisting with the weight. Bring yourself back to flat, taking that leg out, and gently bringing yourself back to seated. And we're all done. Good stuff. I hope you enjoyed that and are finding these beneficial. If you've got any questions about this or anything therapy related, then obviously just give me a shout and I'll reply as soon as I can. Enjoy the upcoming bank holiday and we'll see each other in just over a week. In the meantime, take care and I'll see you soon.